Today it's just chatting with me about pretty much anything and everything and crocheting. So if that sounds like something that you feel like hanging around for, come on. Good morning, or afternoon in my case. Welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and I'm glad you're here. Whether you are new or you're a returning viewer, thank you for hanging out with me. Pre-warning, this is a talking video, hence the title, Chat with Me and learn about some free food. Now that is not clickbait, I promise. I will be crocheting, I will be chatting, and I will tell you about me getting some free food. Or us getting some free food. Grab your project, grab your drink, and settle in. It's not going to be a long one. It's probably, I got about 35, almost 40 minutes. Give or take a couple minutes. But I need to be, it's like 1:20 right now. I need, it's at, yeah. Actually, it's 40 minutes, exactly, because at 2 o'clock, I have to go back in there to my canners. Because your girl has been a canning fool. Okay. So, as you saw in the thumbnail, I am going to be working on my octagon cardigan by Daisy. No, not Daisy. Drama Crochet. Now, where is my hook? I just had it. I keep it in my front pocket of my tote. Hold on, it might have come out. I was working on trying to get this baby quilt done. Hold on one second. Let me see if it's over here. Underneath said quilt, and it's not. Alright, so I'm going to have to go get it. I will be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I brought both because your girl cannot remember which one I was doing. I think it was my, what is this? I think it was my 6mm. Because this is so thick, I think that the 5mm was too small. So I'm pretty sure I was using the 6mm. If I wasn't, I'm about to find out. Oh, goodness. Okay. Forgive my appearance. I have been working since 6 a.m. this morning. And I fell into bed right after my shower last night. So I have bedhead. It's like all doing its own thing, fluffing everywhere. Which usually I don't mind fluffing. It won't last long in here because it's hot. And if I start sweating, I'm sorry. Alright, let me pull my yarn, get my yarn situated back in my bag because I just messed everything up trying to find my hook. But anyway, like I said, I am working on my octagonal cardigan from Drama Crochet that I showed y'all in a previous video. I have not touched it since said video because I've been busy. But anyway, so I'm doing my 3 rounds of black right now. And we're going to leave this on my work table so that it is not adding to my heat. But this is the first time I have sat down all day. And yesterday, let me tell you about yesterday. Okay. So y'all know that I told you in one of these last videos, I don't remember exactly which one, that I was going to go, me and my daughter-in-law, we're going to go to Cook's up toward Edgefield, which is a farm stand. We did. And I did look for beans, and I found some green beans nonetheless. Oh yeah, side note, I harvested all my green beans off my green stalk, but my daughter-in-law and my grandson got here before I could finish harvesting off of the greenhouse. So I stopped and said, I'm going to come back when it's cooler, because y'all, the humidity, it was only, I think, 92 degrees, but the humidity was 99%. So it was horrible. I was like, oh, you know, now this was like at 10:30-ish. No, I don't remember what time that was. It was still pretty decently early in the morning. But I was like, oh, I'll come back tonight or in the morning and do more. Or grab the rest of them. That was Tuesday. It's Thursday. I haven't gotten the green beans. But let me explain why. So we did go to Cook's, all right? And we found green beans. They had them in a, it wasn't a bushel, but they had them in like a woven basket. And there was a pretty good chunk of beans in there. And I knew that we were going to be supplying minimum 2 houses worth of canned green beans. So I asked the lady, I was like, do you have any more? She looked at me like I was crazy. She's like, no. I said, okay, can I get all this, please? And she's like, what? I was like, can you weigh this so I can buy all this? And she's like, I need to ask first. And I kind of thought, why would you need to ask if I can purchase beans that you have sitting for sale? But you know what? I didn't. She was on the younger side, and I didn't want to make her feel bad by giving her the what the face, you know? So I just kept my smile in place, and I said, okay, I'll just wait. So she went and asked somebody, and an older lady came over to the counter, and she's like, are y'all being helped? And I said, yeah. She's asking if I can buy all those green beans. And she's like, yeah, Sarah's going to be over the moon. So the little girl came back, and I say little girl, but the younger girl came back. She says, yeah. And it ended up being like 12 pounds, which, to be fair, now we paid $2.58 a pound, so it was $32 for all of those beans, which is not cheap, but I would rather buy a local farmer's, because they even had my father-in-law's tomatoes that I started his seedlings for. Yep, pat on the back on that one. But anyway, I know that they bought his tomatoes, so they do deal with local growers. So I was like, okay, I would rather do that and can my own green beans, since mine's not pushing out a lot. And therefore, I'll have some while I'm waiting on mine to kind of kick it in and get in with the program. So that wasn't the free food I was talking about. But we picked up those green beans. My daughter-in-law got some of my father-in-law's tomatoes, because I don't think those were his, because his quit producing about 2 weeks ago, and these looked pretty fresh. So, but he will have more coming. It's just I was a little later getting him the secondary seedlings that I had planted, because I planted them a little bit late. But I had to wait till we got back from our trip, because they need to, I have them under grow lights, and I'm not going to have those, I'm not going to have that electrical while we were away for 4 days. So anyway, he will be producing some more tomatoes for them. But she bought some more tomatoes just to give us a variety for when we start to do our sauces, our tomato-based sauces, which is coming up. About that, I will get back to our trip to Cook's and all that good stuff. But I think I mentioned before when we were talking about canning spaghetti sauce. Now, I know I can't eat it, but everybody in my family loves spaghetti, so I do cook spaghetti a lot. I eat a frozen dinner, or I have some, pre-cooked chicken that I always meal prep in 4-ounce baggies so that I have some good protein and I can just pop it on a salad. But anyway, we were looking for 24-ounce canning jars because usually that's the size of ragu that we buy. Now, this is new for her and I. We have never, ever done spaghetti sauce. We're hoping to mimic the ragu recipe because we like the chunky tomato, onion, and garlic. I can't eat it anymore, but they can. And that is the family favorite. All across the board. All 6 of us. Regardless of whether I can eat it or not, it's still my favorite. But anyway, so if y'all have some good canning recipes for some good sauce that would mimic that, let me know, please. So we couldn't find, there was some on Amazon, but it was atrociously expensive. And I looked on Azure Standard site, and I was like, ooh, they have some. So I ordered them. I was like 7 minutes from the cutoff deadline to be able to drop ship to my local drop, right? And that's a whole nother, explaining that would be a whole nother video. But anyway, so I had it in my head that the drop would be on August 5th. Okay. So here I am, Tuesday, not even thinking about it. Tuesday was August 4th. Wasn't thinking about August 5th at all. All right. We went to Cook's. We did all that. I got those beans. Well, when we got home, she did not freeze the tomatoes in my freezer because I don't have any room. She barely has room, but we're going to make it do. She said that she's going to go ahead and put them in there. But they look like a good slicing tomato, so she bought them even though she knew that they wasn't my father-in-law, better boys. But it gives a flavor profile, a variety of flavor profile in your tomato sauces if you mix different varieties. So she bought those, and when we got here, she's like, is it okay if we just do the beans up here? Because her stove won't fit 2 canners. It will fit it, but she doesn't have the 2 big eyes. I have 2 big eyes in the front and 2 big eyes in the back to where it makes it possible, right? So I was like, yeah, that's fine. And she's like, well, when do you want to do these? And I said, honestly, aren't we going to pick corn tomorrow? Talking about Wednesday. And she's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I said, then it's best to just go ahead and get these processed and get these canned. And she's like, I am that kind of person. I don't like putting off anything if I don't have to. And I'm wearing her down. She's starting to be like that only because of me. I mean, I'm not saying this only because of me. I'm just saying because she's around me so much and we do so many things together that it's kind of, she expects it. Okay. She might not like it, but she's expecting it by this point. But she's getting to where it might not be her first instinct to think that, but it's getting to where she's like, okay. Because we've had this talk, and we both agree. We may be dog tired. We may not want to process this food. But in the long run, our future self and our family's health will benefit from it. The future self being, I can go in there and grab a fresh, homegrown can of green beans or corn or, whatever it may be. Tomato sauce, diced tomatoes, tomato paste, spaghetti sauce, pizza sauce, all of these things. So we know it's well worth it. It's just getting it to that point on our pantry shelf that's like, oh, really? But we do it. Now, What does this belong on a crochet channel, you ask? It doesn't. It really doesn't. But I am crocheting and I'm talking to you. So, you know. I just was going to keep y'all updated because I have not burned a single pile of stumps. Not a single pile. But I'm telling you, from Tuesday when I stopped recording with you, I have not stopped. I have sat down on the way, the road trip to Winsboro and back for my grandson's eyeglasses. And I'm coming to that if I have time. If not, I might have to wait for another visit. Y'all like that? Another visit with you. Because this is my visit with you. And it's a chance for me to plant my booty for 30 minutes minimum so that my back can rest a minute. So anyway, I will try to condense it because I am looking at, see, that's, okay, well, I haven't been that long. I have 24 minutes before I have to stop. So anyway, we went, she had to go get my canner and her canner from her house because I had taken it the last time we had picked corn. I had taken mine so that she could process and she wouldn't have to stay up all night waiting on the corn to process. Yes, I do want a double stack canner. Can I afford one? No. So for now, we're going to be doing our little Walmart canners, the Presto pressure canners. It holds like 8 pints. But anyway, it takes longer to get everything done, but it works. You know, I'm not going to argue. It works. So, pardon me. So here I am doing all that, trying to get everything set up while she goes down to her house and grabs our canners. And I'm washing the beans and everything, and by the time she gets back, I've already started popping the ends off of each one. Now, thankfully, these were stringless green beans, so I didn't have a string at all, because I tried, when my beans, even though they say they're stringless, they're not stringless green beans. So, I was sitting there trying to pull the string off, and there was no string to be found, but thankfully, she got up here, we snapped the ends off of all of them, and now, everybody does things different, right? Well, I do my beans so that it's a decent little mouthful, about like that big, okay? My girl does them about that big. So, in the jars, they're not as full as they normally are, but that's okay. I don't mind. If we have to open up a second jar when I cook dinner, I have to open up a second jar. I just hope I don't, waste any of the second jar. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh, so we processed the beans that night. Did not get dinner cooked. Dinner was self-serve that night. And by self-serve, I mean leftovers. Leftovers are frozen dinners. I know. The girl is doing all this fresh cooking and fresh preserving and stuff, and then I eat frozen dinners. Yeah, I do. I have some frozen dinners. Usually it's the Healthy Choice Cafe Steamers. I always have some of those on hand just in case that I want to do spaghetti and I don't have any of my sauteed chicken meal prepped and frozen. So that's what, it was leftovers and I had that frozen. But we did get them processed. We ended up, for $32 that we spent on the green beans, we ended up with 31 jars of green beans, pints. Now, granted, they wasn't tightly packed. I think if we had done them, they were tightly packed, as you could get them with the various sizes of beans, especially the bigger ones. But, that's what? a little over $1 a jar. So I'm not going to argue with that. The canned goods that I normally buy is like the Libby 4-packs, and I think they are $1, maybe $1.10 a can. So not far off. I'm not hurting myself by buying it. I would prefer to grow all my green beans, but this year it just wasn't. This year and last year, it just, I don't know. Maybe I need to start them earlier in the year and put them out as soon as the last frost date, and then I might get more. I don't know. But with me having that green stalk, I think that helps too. So we'll see. Okay. So that took us into Tuesday night. I finished the Wednesday morning. I got up and got the jars all cleaned up and everything, and just left them on the counter because she came at right before 9. And we headed to the cornfield to pick our corn, because what the plan was she had called my our eye doctor and said, you know, they found out that his glasses had came back in from the lab where we had just ordered them, and we were going to go up to Winsboro, which is about an hour and 15 minutes from here. So I told her, I was like, let's go pick the corn and we'll go straight up to Winsboro. We should be able to get there before they go to lunch. And that didn't happen. Well, we did get there, but they didn't go to lunch. So, you know, we wouldn't have got there before they would have left for lunch anyway. But I had called them after we got out of the cornfield. I had called them and, you know, asked what time they were going to lunch. She's like, well, we're skipping lunch today. Well, they weren't skipping lunch. They were skipping leaving for lunch, because usually their lunch is 2 hours. Usually it's from 12 to 2. And I don't know if that's because Dr. Bailey was in the office, or if because he divides his time between 2 practices. They both used to be his, but he sold one to a corporate situation, and yeah, I don't go to that one anymore. So I drive all the way to Winsboro so I can still go to the one that he has control over. But anyway, we were I should have got that pillow. I'm not kidding y'all. I don't do this to copy anybody, because I know Kelsey has a breastfeeding pillow. But I have my daughter-in-law's pillow from when my grandson was a little baby. And usually I'll use it. I got it a while back when we were doing the donating, and we were cleaning out her house of all the infant stuff. And I told her, I was like, I need that, because between my back and my shoulders, I need it. But anyway, sorry, squirrel moment. For those of you who don't know and who are new, I have several of those squirrel moments quite often. And I'm not ashamed to say it. I am human, y'all. I am not a machine. I am not a content creator that is striving to hit all the buttons on the algorithm. I'm just me. But anyway, so we go to the cornfield. All right, and I didn't notice it. There was a van down there, and my daughter-in-law says, wait a minute, their mailbox is gone, because they do an honor system. You can pay at their little farm stand, or if they're closed, or if you don't want to go up there and pay, there's a mailbox that they have to where you just slip the money in, and it's the honor system. Well, and they've been doing this for 10 years, so they know whether it's worth it or not, and obviously it is. The very first time we didn't do that, we went, and by the time we were finished picking, they were open, so we went up there. For one, we could use our card, And two, we just felt better about that the first time around, you know, just so that they would get to know us a little bit. We had already been there. My daughter-in-law had already bought some peaches and stuff, but you know. So we pull up and she's like, the mailbox is gone and I don't see the signs. She said, Miss Lynn, I think they've quit. I was like, well, there's somebody out there picking corn. Now, my practical brain, okay, says if it's an employee or someone who works there, which I'd never seen the lady, but I was like, you know, I'll ask her. I did end up asking her, but my daughter-in-law, she was apprehensive about it, and she says, you know, I don't want to pick it if it's not meant to be picked, because then we're stealing. And I'm starting to get a little frustrated. I was like, all right, fine, let's go up there and talk to him. She's like, well, let me find the card so we don't have to drive all the way up there. I said, look, just drive up there and I'll talk to him. Because technically they weren't open yet, but I seen an employee sitting in our car. So I was like, I'll just tap on the window and ask. Well, by the time we finally got up there, that's a whole nother situation. By the time we finally got up there, the girl had opened up the stand and all, so I asked her, and she said the owners had said that that field was done, that they had gotten overripe, or over ready. I don't know how you would phrase corn that has peaked and gone past peak. However you phrase it. But anyway, she said, I said, oh, okay, well, I appreciate it. She's like, well, if you want to go find some corn, you can. I said, is it still $5 for a dozen? She's like, no, it's free. They told me, you know, there's no charge. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, it's free. So I told my daughter, I got back in the van. I told my daughter-in-law, not van, she has a Ford Edge, but, you know, anyway. I got back in the car and I told my daughter-in-law, I was like, just drive on back down there. She said that the field has been, you know, the guys closed it down for paying, but if we want any, we're welcome to pick what we want. So we're down there picking, and we're still thinking, okay, we're gonna go back and we're gonna give them some money, because we're just not, it's free food. I'm not going to, no. No, neither one of us is wired that way. So I originally wanted to get 5 dozen. So 60 ears of corn. That would let me can enough jars to hit my 52 goal, my 52 jars of corn goal, and have some that I can leave on the cob and freeze for, you know, corn on the cob. So she picked about 70 and I picked about 60. And we drove up there and we were going to pay, because we didn't have the honor box, the mailbox anymore. And we were going to just pay them something. Even if they wouldn't take the full amount, maybe they'd take half. Yes, I know. Some of y'all are probably thinking, why would you still want to pay after they've told you it's free? I don't know, honey. It's just the way I'm wired, okay? And I think it would have been, let's see, 60 is 4 dozen? No, 60 is 5 dozen. So it would have been $25. Half of that would have been $12. But they refused to take any of it. And the man that I originally talked to the very first time we picked corn, he pulled up and he says, y'all doing all right? I said, yeah. So we were, you know, trying to offer some money for the corn. And he's like, no, go ahead. That field is spent. You know, what's left is overdone. And yeah, I mean, there still might be a few cobs out there, a few ears out there that, you know, but y'all are more than welcome to them. Tell everybody. So I talked to him. I bent his ear, you know, because we plan on growing our own sweet corn and stock corn, which he calls field corn, which is probably right. For some reason, I just think I think of stock corn because it feeds stock. It feeds animals. So, anyway. But I was bending his ear about a few things, and you know how it is. He's local to me. He knows what works in this area, and yeah, I'm going to get as much information. That doesn't mean I'm not going to still buy from him and their stand. I might not rely on it as heavy, but I still will, yeah, because he can get corn varieties that I can't. As a farmer, he has connections, and I don't know this man well enough to ask, for an insider. Hold on. Oh, that's my beginning of the round one. I was like, wait a minute. I just passed a sleeve marker, and here's another marker, and I'm like, wait, that's not. But that's the beginning of my round. But anyway, so I'm sitting here talking to him, and I was like, okay, I love talking to you, but we got to go. We have to get up to Winsboro before lunch. And it was already, I want to say, 10:30, 10:45. Because y'all, picking that corn took longer than I thought. But normally we only do 4 dozen. But, you wouldn't think an extra dozen would make that big of a difference. But it does. Time-wise, anyway. Especially when you're wanting to make sure that you're getting good ears of corn. And, sorry, I had something flash up on my laptop. I need to... Oh, okay. No biggie. Alright, but anyway, it looked like a comment popped up. I have not had a moment to go back and comment. Do y'all's comments. But I will today, I promise. And Gwen, I will get the shipping calculated, since I did get your email. I got it last night, right after I got out of the shower, 5 seconds before I flopped my head on the pillow and went to sleep. And I haven't stopped yet. This is my first break I've had, so I will, as soon as I finish recording this, Gwen, I will calculate the shipping to you for the blanket and get that email sent off to you. But now, going back to the corn. They refused to take the corn. We go all the way up to Winsboro. My grandson gets his glasses. They fit him to his little face. And we drive all the way home. But we did bring the corn back here because my daughter-in-law was worried about any bugs or ants, because she did have some that was on the corn husk and everything. So she didn't want to leave the ants and stuff in the car while we were, driving down the road. And I was like, it's fine. We'll spray it out. We'll vacuum it out when we get home. She's like, well, Brantley's in the back seat, and I don't want ants to get him. Valid. So we're headed back here to my house to drop off all the corn, because I can put it up under my carport until we get back. And it's so funny. I called the eye doctors, and I was like, I talked to a different lady, and I was like, yeah, normally I call and talk to so-and-so, and I tell her, when we're on our way, because it's over an hour to get to y'all, and I wanted to check to see what time y'all would be going to lunch. She's like, well, we're short today, so we're not doing lunch. And I was like, okay, I hate it for you, but I'm happy for me. And that popped out before I even thought about it, y'all. I'm like, whoops. That was supposed to be an inner dialogue. But she understood, I hope she understood. I really don't deal with her very much, but yeah, it is what it is. I meant nothing by it, no illness, no ill will or anything. But, so this corner is a little wonky. I've never joined, because see, the other corners are chain 2s. Well, when you start the beginning of the round, you do a half double join to that instead of a chain 2. Yeah, I don't know why, but that's how she has us doing it. That's it. So anyway, let me think about what I was trying to say. Oh. And so I said, okay, you know, we dropped the corn off and came back. We came here, dropped the corn off. GC Pete. Black yarn, y'all. Me and black yarn. And, oh, I thought, oh, this is going to be gorgeous to put with black yarn. Mm-hmm. But needless to say, we got up to Winsboro. My grandson got his glasses. We got home. And I started dinner. Oh, no, sorry. We got home so my grandson could go to the bathroom. Then we went to Batesburg to go to Walmart to get more canning jars because we had ran out. We had been canning so much. Which once we get our pantry the way we want it, I shouldn't have to buy any more canning jars. We should be set. But, you know, because they are reusable, we just buy lids. Sometimes. If I don't damage my lid, I reuse it and I've never had a problem. They all seal. But, anyway. If you can and you don't do that, don't come at me. Everybody does their own thing, okay? But, what was I saying? Oh, we went to Walmart, all right? And I'm not doing my menu right now, but I was craving some salmon bake. So my salmon bake is where we do salmon. I do zucchini, carrots, onions, red onions, and arugula. And I put it all on a sheet pan. Oh, it is so good. So I was craving some of that last night. And I thought that would be a nice, easy, put-together dinner. Because we were exhausted, okay? So I get dinner made. And I have not stopped. Still have not stopped, y'all. The only time I have sit myself down is in the car. To Winsboro and back. To Batesburg and back. That's it. And by the time we finished dinner, it was closing in. It wasn't quite dark, but it was getting late. Excuse me. So I told my husband, I'm like, I'm going to go out here and shuck this corn and see, you know, because I wanted to see how many I actually ended up with. I thought I had counted 60 ears. But that very last basket, we guesstimated because the basket, you know, I have a harvesting basket. And the basket was holding, mine was holding about 21 to 22 ears each time. So I was thinking it might be 60. It might have been 62, you know. So anyway, I get out there and I take the husk off the first corn. And I'm like, oh. Then I take it off the second corn. And the fourth. And the eighth. You know. I get to about 8 of them. And I'm noticing a trend. Up near where the silks are, they're starting to turn. The silks are brown. We know that. That's when you know that the corn is good. But it had let rain into the top of it. So the top of the corn, the ear of the corn, was starting to go brown. And I'm like, oh, man. So I texted my daughter-in-law. I'm like, okay, this corn is looking rough. Because some of those, in those first eight ears, it wasn't just the tip of the cob. It was, or the tip of the ear, it was down into the rows of corn along the ear. And I'm like, Dad nabbit. I was like, no wonder he's stopped charging. Because they're getting on the cusp of not being any good. So I ended up, I had to toss about 15 ear that were just unsalvageable. The ones I did keep, I can tell you what I had now. Oh, it's almost time. I got to get going. It was, I could tell you now that I was able to salvage 13 of those ears. I did have to cut the tips off of those, but the rest of the cob was beautiful. and I cut them in half, and I blanched them, I vacuum packed them, and they're in the freezer, as you know, corn on the cob, little mini cobs. And because that's what, you know, we like the little mini cobs. But I ended up with 24 pint jars and 26 mini ears. So I was scared that it was not going to be worth it. But I'm still processing them, and I have another canner full to go, and then my daughter-in-law is coming up after her and my grandson finish school, and we're going to start processing hers. Well, while hers is processing, because we have to process them in the canner, pressure canner, for 55 minutes. So while hers are processing, we're going to run down to the cornfield and try to get some more. We're going to have to be very careful about where we pick. Where she picked, she had a lot of ants, a lot of bugs, and she even found maggots in one or two of them. I was like, all right, we're staying away from your area. There were some bugs in a few of mine, but like I said, I had to throw about 15 away because they were either bug infested or they were starting to rot, you know. So I was like, yeah, we're not going near the section you were at. We're going to go near the section I was at. And it's going to be the middle of the day. And it is, hold on. Normally I have the temperature sitting right here. My widgets is hiding. Oh, I don't know. All right. Well, it says it's 92 right now. I don't know what the humidity is because... Is that 88%? No, that's 88% chance of rain starting in an hour and a half. Yeah, right. It's sun shining. Every time they say we get rain, Aiken proper gets rain, but we don't get anything. So, anyway, the plan is to go ahead and do that. And what we get today is going to be processed for my father-in-law and my brother-in-law, their houses. Maybe. I know I'm definitely going to try to get enough to can some and freeze some for my father-in-law. Because, you know, he's 86 and 87. Hang on. No. He's 89. No, he will be 89 this year. Sorry. Okay, he will be 89 this year. So he's 88 years old. I'm not going to have him going out into a cornfield picking corn and then trying to process it himself. We'll do that for him. So that's the story of how we got free food. I don't know how much my daughter-in-law has ended up with because the jars that she bought, she took home, but we bought 3 flats, 3 12-pack of canning jars apiece, and I went ahead and put all of them and sterilized them in my dishwasher. And she's like, well, I'll just give you what I use. I'll just give you back. That way I don't have to. Because I was like, do you want me to sterilize yours too? Which, to be fair, I did 24 of them. And we only bought 36. But I have about 10 from a previous flat that I've already got sterilized. So it should be plenty for her to do hers too. We don't know how much she has because the jars are here that have been processed sterilized and are ready to can with. And like I said, she'll be coming up here shortly. I haven't heard them pull up yet. But normally my grandson is done with his school about now or in the next 30 minutes. Oops. I'm 5 minutes over. Well, I told my husband if I wasn't done, you know. Anyway, we should be okay. But I'm going to get off here And just please understand, if I haven't responded to your comments or anything, I'm getting there. I just haven't had time for myself because I am working for food for my family, you know. So please understand. And let me tell you, my hands are dead. I can't believe I'm crocheting. But I have been missing yarn. Missing it. Because me and my daughter-in-law, normally she'll drive up there and I'll drive back, or vice versa. And we did that yesterday. But I was knitting on the cable strata tee. And the only reason why I was knitting on that is because I didn't want this thing to be so heavy in my lap. You know, kind of like it's sitting on here. Excuse me, I hope y'all do not hear me burping. It's the carbonation from my drink. I apologize. But it is what it is. Alright, I'm going to get off here. And I can tell, I'm getting to the point where I'm too hot. But I know this wasn't my normal content, and I hope you forgive me for that. I had planned on some sewing situation and to show you, you know, how the quilt's coming along and all that good stuff, but I haven't had a chance to mess with that. I clipped the edges, and that's all I was able to do. And then corn and beans happened. So, yeah. It has been a day and a half. No, 2 days. But anyway, I'm going to put this back in here, and I'm going to... Actually, you know what I'm going to do? You can talk to me while I do it. I'm going to put this on here. But yeah, I'm ready to sit down and do nothing. But we still have... I will probably still be working up until dinner time. And I told my husband, I'm like, I am done. I'm not going to be able to cook dinner tonight. So we're going to have to figure out something. He has been wanting to try out a new recipe. So I don't know. It's like taco meat and pasta. And it's like a taco-ish flavored pasta dish. I don't know. We'll see. But... I hope you have a great weekend. Oh, I forgot to tell you about the Azure. I was freaking out this morning. Real quick. I was freaking out because today's the 6th. And I'm like, oh crap, I missed the drop. Oh no. Because if you miss a drop, that stuff gets sold off the truck. I think you get a refund. I've never done it. I've never missed a drop. So I think you get a refund. And it just gets sold off the truck, but I'm not 100% sure. And I'm beating myself up for it this morning at 6 o'clock. It's already too late. There's nothing I can do. And I check my emails, and I notice it says, your order has shipped to the drop location for August 10th pickup. And I'm like, hallelujah. I was so excited. Because I ordered 3 flats of the 24-ounce jars, which were only $14. Now, I think I did the ones with lids and rings, which I really don't need. But I thought, you know, why not go ahead? It's $16. If I use my bands and buy lids, it's going to be the $14 for the jars, and then I think they're like $5 for a thing of 12 lids from Walmart for ball lids. I mean, you know what? The first time I'll get them with lids. So I think I have 3 12 count flats for $16, and at Walmart they're $14 for the pint. So for a pint and a half, $16 for a flat is not that bad. And then I got some more of the true cinnamon coming because I have almost ran out of mine. I don't know how to say it. It's CEYLON. It's not the cinnamon that you get in the jars, you know, the powdered cinnamon. There's 2 different sources of cinnamon, and there's 2 different kinds. It's the CEYLON, And then something, the other type of cinnamon. Hold on. I'm going to find out real quick. That's going to bother me. Type of cinnamon. Okay. So, the two types of the alright, this is the one I was telling you about, the CEYLON. It's called True Cinnamon. And then the Cassia, which is 3 or 4 different kind of varieties, but they're different. One is, I can't remember the exact one. Okay. So, one, the Sri Lanka in southern India is where the CEYLON comes from. Now, that does taste different than the other cinnamon. But the other cinnamon, let me tell you about that. Hold on. There is, but see, I eat a lot of cinnamon. I use a lot of cinnamon in my smoothies and stuff, and other things that aren't cooked. So I want a healthier version or something that won't cause me trouble. The Cassia version is not good when it's not. I mean, you don't use it in abundance, right? It has a very, very cinnamony flavor. The one that I use, the True Cinnamon, it's a little bit more mild. It's a little bit kind of flowery, maybe. But anyway, I knew I was going to be running low on that. And I have gotten that off Amazon, but Azure has it, and I think it's like 50-cent difference between the Amazon version and this version. So I'm like, you know what? I'll go with Azure. So thankfully I did not miss that. It will be Monday evening, and I will go to the drop location in Graniteville and pick it up there. And if Kirsten is back in town, I might meet up with her and give her, yes, okay, that would work. Oh, yeah. I got a yarn video Monday. So, yeah. Some of it's my yarn, some of it's not. But I hope you have a great weekend. Try to find you some joy. It's in the smallest little things sometimes, and it hides. But hopefully you'll be able to find it and enjoy yourself. Okay? I'm going to get off here, and until Monday's video, take care of you, alright? Bye!